Hello, everybody. This is Timothy Bennett here with B&B Banter Bros. And we have Jason Chandler back.
Hey, everyone.
Aram has the night off again. I swear he's not being replaced. It just happens to be his schedule's a little tighter than mine and Jason's. So
it's you and I going to the movies one more time.
So today we have a very interesting film that we want to talk about because it just came out on HBOMAX, and it was a big, anticipated film of the year. And it was one of those where I think it got a lot of hype and a lot of appraisal even before it actually came out for people to even watch.
And that
was just knowing that it's coming out.
The fact that it was even made, the praise and the hype is all fan base.
Yes.
The fans, their hashtag, what is it, Save or Zack Snyder Universe or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something.
Know.
Yeah,
but the fans made this happen.
Yeah.
So that's where the hype and the praise and, so.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about Justice League if you didn't pick that up. So the new Justice League.
Zack
Snyder's director's cut, which it's epic.
Yeah, epic is the best choice of word.
It's 4 hours, 4.5 hours long. I think it's just a little over 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of material. And from my understanding, it was it's basically shit that Snyder wanted to have happen in his film. And I believe that his film was already going to be pushing 3 hours.
Yeah.
So now it's basically he just went, I'm going to put all of it out there.
Right. Well, yeah, it's everything he wanted for his third film in this universe. Because he did Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
And have you seen the unedited version of the director's cut of Batman versus Superman? That's 3.5 hours long.
I don't recall.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so this movie definitely follows that story he was telling, his dark story, and Joss Whedon ruined that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, the story behind why the Justice League Zack Snyder cut came out and why it was so important, not just appraised, but it was because of why it was so important for it to come out, was basically he had to leave. He had to leave because his daughter committed suicide, and he had to go deal with family matters. So I mean, this was 4 years ago too, right? Because it was 2017.
Yes. Yeah.
When the movie came out, and he was in post production at that point, so he had already filmed everything. Now it was just finalizing it, putting it together, and editing and all that stuff. And I guess that's when that happened, and rightfully so, he left.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he dealt with his family trauma, and it took him a couple of years.
So yeah, I'm sure this meant a lot to him that the fans cared and asked for it and received it very well from the.
Absolutely, I know I did.
So, and I know at the end of the movie, it's dedicated to Autumn, I think. Yep.
Who is his daughter. That whole Hallelujah, there's a rendition of Hallelujah was a tribute to his daughter as well. Mm-hmm. So it was a personal thing for him to finish. Not just finish. I mean, that was what he wanted. That's why he came back. He wanted to finish it, but he wanted to finish it properly.
That's kind of Zack Snyder's way. He's kind of a do-it-myself, I want to tell my story type of director is the vibes I get from him.
I don't disagree with that. I think he has a vision, and he wants that vision to come out, and he doesn't want somebody to step in and tell him how his vision's going to be.
And it's not always what a blockbuster, or what we would expect from a blockbuster or that pop culture type of thing. He seems to do a darker tone and I don't know. He's just really unique and one-of-a-kind director when it comes to graphic novel type
He has
his
a comic book style
his-
without even having to do a comic book movie. He just has that
Yeah, even Sparta.
exaggerated comic book style.
Yeah. I mean, you pause his Justice League anytime you want, especially in those slow motion. There's so many moments that go slow with a nice, like, epic music behind it, and it's real quick, and then it speeds back up. But if you pause, it just looks like a fucking page from a graphic novel. It's gorgeous. I think
and that's his style.
Yeah.
Because everything he's done, which I'm about to list off some of the stuff because it's impressive. He doesn't have like a bazillion films or anything like that. And he has consistently been working throughout the years. But his films have a very particular, once again, that comic book, that exaggerated comic book style. Now, the first film I recall ever watching from him was Dawn of the Dead in 2004. That was probably the first Zack Snyder film I had seen.
He did that movie with the mall?
That's Zack Snyder. Now, that's the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that film has it's a remake from a George Romero original back in the 70s. It was a remake, and I personally thought it was done phenomenally well. It was intense. It was scary. It was thrilling.
Paid homage to the original.
To a point. I mean, I personally wasn't a huge fan, although I respect George Romero immensely because he was the father of the modern. He's the father of the zombie
But
films.
as a fan, I felt like it didn't do it wrong.
I don't.
But anyways.
And that had such a comic book feel to it. It didn't feel like it was a real life thing. It had, and I think it has to do with his colors. It's his cinematographer, whoever he uses, if he uses the same person or different, whatever it is, he's able to find the right people to work with, the right cinematographers to work with to get that vibrance and that exaggerated look or the kind of depth and stuff that brings this comic book feel to all of his films. But once again, saying that he has dabbled, he has put his fingers into a couple comic books and brought them to life. And after he did Dawn of the Dead, he did 300. That was his second biggest film, and that was a comic book by Frank Miller.
Yeah.
And it was intense. It was badass. And he used the same kind of slow motion scenes that he did in that film, he did in this film, in the Justice League Snyder Cut.
Yeah. And I'm the first guy to make fun of slow-mo or overuse of slow-mo in movies or whatever, but his timing is just impeccable, and the music he puts behind the slow-mo, because it pops in and it fades in and out during the slow-mo motions, and it just adds that chill.
Yeah.
It adds to my chill.
He knows how to properly use it to have that connection, that emotional connection to it. I absolutely agree, especially with the music, especially in the Justice League when he uses a slow motion. There's this beautiful piano kind of orchestrated score that's going on, and it's so appropriate. It's
perfect.
And it's like a poetic scene. It's basically just watching this ballet happening. I mean, it's intriguing, and it was like I agree with you. He knows how to do it very well. It doesn't disrupt the film or the feeling or anything. He doesn't even seem out of place because you're doing it in the midst of this action, and it doesn't feel odd.
I'm not trying. It's not like something that makes or breaks one of his movies, but I appreciate the way he does it, and it's all I really want to say about that, I guess.
The other big film that he had done 3 years later was another comic book, and this time he did break into the DC world, and that was Watchmen.
He did that too?
He did Watchmen. Yep.
Jesus.
And that was in 2009. So Dawn of the Dead was in 2004.
Yeah.
300 was in 2006, and then Watchmen was in 2009.
Huh. Yeah, I remember people not liking it or having issues with it, but I always liked it. I mean, I felt like it ran a little long or whatever, but it was, so dark, but yet visual. Like, it's not like you got to change your TV settings or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's always
not,
at night, and all his colors they just pop appropriately.
It's the colors. That's what I'm talking about. That's that. That's that comic book feel that I keep talking about. He also has a mood for each film. It has a color scheme for each film. Kind of like, you know, so you have like The Matrix, for example, is just all green.
Yeah, and like 300 would be all red.
Well, 300 was gold.
Okay, nice.
It was like that gold hue is the warm color, but the gold hues. Okay. And then Watchmen was this like blue across the scene. I mean, that's...
Huh. I never even considered to think about that. That makes sense.
And he does a phenomenal well, but yeah, Watchmen. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was great.
I mean, I never rewatched the movie. Well, I feel like I read the graphic novel a long time ago, but I rewatched that movie after the show, Watchmen, and I loved it.
Yep, I liked it when it came out.
Yeah,
I thought it was,
same here.
I thought it was super good. I mean, yeah, I agree. It was a little long, and there were some slower, kind of drawn out parts, and maybe they weren't needed. Maybe they were. I mean, to be honest, I didn't think there was anything I felt that needed to go, and obviously neither did he. So
there was never a scene or a part of me, or while I was watching the movie, I never rolled my eyes like, "Oh, hurry up!"
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't ever that kind of pacing issue.
But
you know.
I will agree with you. He loves to put his fingers into the dark corners of things that people, you know, like he knows how to get that dramatic dark noir.
And it's not like a weird creepy horror thing. It's like that pain, that struggle, that we all, I don't know, it's like a simple darkness that
he knows how to bring out the emotional darkness through humanity in the film that he's making.
Thank you, Tim.
And he does that because he does that in Dawn of the Dead. You're dealing with survival, and you're dealing with the break of extinction. Like, how do you deal with this? And he does a phenomenal job creating these, you know, multiple dynamic characters dealing with this shit in their own way, having to come together to survive. And then he does it with 300, where you have this, you know, Spartan, this Legion Spartan who's trying to do the better for his people, but, you know, he's a Spartan, so he doesn't give up. He doesn't give in. Fear is not an issue. Like, it's not something that they accept. And he did a phenomenal job at expressing and showing how that kind of power of strength can be dominating through just human nature, just through human resilience and willpower, determination. And then Watchmen, it's a noir.
Ah, yes.
You know, it's a 19s, 20s kind of, although I know it takes place in like, what, the 70s or 60s or 70s? Yeah, 60s or something like that. But it's basically just a comic book noir. Mm-hmm. And it really shows with, was it Rorschach?
Yes.
The character Rorschach?
Yep.
That's where you really get the sense of noir, because he's basically dressed like a detective.
He's the detective, yep.
Yep, and he's narrating like an old detective show, like Sunset Boulevard or something like that from the old days. But
hell yeah.
Now he goes into something that was a little lighthearted, and I still enjoyed the shit out of this movie. Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Never saw it. Never heard of it.
It's an animated film with owls, birds, and stuff. But it's super good. It was super good. And I do believe, I mean, this was 2010, and I do believe that 30 Seconds to Mars, on their This Is War album, I think it was King of Queens or something, King and Queens song was used for that, like, theme music for that movie.
Oh, 30 Seconds to Mars, that's a band?
Yeah.
The Jared Leto band?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good, but it was an animated film, and it had this very comic book-like style. Like, it felt like it could have been like a comic book too.
Nice.
Then his next one that he did was Sucker Punch.
Ooh, I love that movie.
See, and
I never would have known about it. Some lady I was hanging out with, she was like, "You never heard of this? We need to watch this right now." And I was like, "All right, and I fucking just remember loving it and like, what the fuck? Why didn't I ever know about this?
See, I don't recall if I've ever seen it all the way through. I know I've seen it, and I know I've seen bits and parts, and I know it has Emily Browning in it, who is in. She was the Violet, whatever I think was her name, in Lemony Snicket's with the Jim Carrey the movie.
Oh yeah.
She's also in the show that I watch, American Gods.
Okay.
But yeah, it was bizarre.
I just remember having a blast. Exactly, bizarre. Like, what the fuck am I watching right now? And I'm loving every second of it. That's
it was
what I remember.
What would you call it? I think it was like a steampunk kind of ride, like action flick.
Definitely, yeah.
Very, very bizarre.
Very action packed.
Feels like a comic book though, doesn't it? And this one had that green tone to it too.
Okay.
So this is kind of very similar to The Matrix, where it had this very green and blue overtone to it.
But like the Sucker Punch, I remember it was action, it was intense, but it didn't seem like it took itself too serious. I don't know. We haven't seen the movie in many years, so we'll skip it.
I haven't seen it for a while.
I just remember liking it.
It definitely was. And I think you're kind of right. It's kind of hard. I mean, even with the title, it's kind of hard to not take that Sucker Punch. But it has
but it wasn't like a comedy or anything like that. So
no.
But
it was.
But yes, it felt Your
like
point being comic book. Yes.
Whether or not it was, I have no idea.
Right.
If it was, I've never heard of it. But
right.
As a comic book, from a guy who reads a lot of comic books, but
But back to
that was once again. That was another big hit of his that he came out in 2011. And then we get to the most popular DC character right next to Batman.
Who's that?
And that would be the Man of Steel.
Oh.
Superman, yeah. So he did the Man of Steel in 2013.
Yeah.
And that was the first, I would say the first introduction to this universe, the DC universe that we have now.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill. I love him as Superman, and I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Once again, a little long and some laugh at throwaway lines, like the dialogue is just between him and Lois is like really, but Henry Cavill. The colors. I love Superman to begin with, so I'm biased, but I liked it. And it was a good, finally we got a decent Superman movie after so many like...
Yeah, because who was the one who did it before that? Brandon...
Yeah, Superman Returns. Or
something like that.
Brandon...
Roth.
Yeah, Brandon Roth.
Was that his name? Yeah. I know that he introduced into Atom in the Arrow universe, in the Warner Brothers DC Arrow. He was brought into that as Atom. Mm-hmm. And then he also went in to do Legends of Tomorrow.
Yep, I watched some of that on YouTube. But
it was all right.
Not to get too sidetracked, but I had no problem with him as Superman. But that movie was just like that's a different topic.
Yeah, that was just, I agree. I didn't hate it.
It was just a different take on the story of Superman and Lois and him leaving to Krypton and coming back or whatever. You know, it was a different idea. It was a nice try.
It just didn't have what Snyder did.
Yeah.
This is like the Man of Steel was what we were looking for, I think. Or at least I thought it was like, yeah, this is it. Uh-huh. This is the Superman. Other than the originals, which I thought were great with Christopher Reeves, but that's not what we're talking about. It's the retelling of this, and I don't know. I thought that this was definitely pro, but it was the first one. Mm-hmm. It was the first one to introduce this whole universe, and then he did Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice in 2016, which was 3 years later. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna lie, I remember not being a big fan.
Yeah, I feel alone being a fan of it. For some reason, I really liked the movie.
For me, it was Doomsday.
I mean, yeah, they botched a lot of things here. I don't know.
I had some issues
Doomsday,
with it.
They fucked that up.
I did have
whatever.
I did have some issues, but I thought I mean, it was still the characters that I want to see. Even Ben Affleck. I actually like Ben Affleck as
no issues
as
with him being Batman.
Batman. I think he's gonna. I think he was good.
Yep.
I like Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogies for sure, and I thought Christian Bale did a great job as well. But honestly, I like Ben Affleck as this Batman.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I also love Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
Oh yeah.
I love him as Alfred.
Hell yeah.
But to me, I would like to see Ben Affleck continue to carry that suit, to continue to, carry the ears.
Well, he did some reshoots in the Justice League movie we're trying to talk about. Even though I know we're going down Zack Snyder's list here.
Well, after that in 2016, then you have the Justice League in 2017, and that's kind of where where we were getting to. I guess what happened, and that was the last film he did, actual.
God, yeah, you're right. He hasn't done a million things. He just did a handful of great fucking films.
He's had, he's done some shorts and some music videos and some other things.
But as far as blockbusters,
but as of everything that he has done, like studio wise, it's been a blockbuster hit. Yeah, like it's been at least in theaters. It's been a big studio budget. He's the kind of guy that you gave him money, he knew what to do with it.
No.
At least I feel like he knew what to do with it. He didn't just go. He may have went a little more than he needed to, but you know what? I like.
Good for him.
Yep. I've not been disappointed with a film of his other than Batman versus Superman, and it wasn't like I hated the film. There was just I had my problems with certain things about it. It had nothing really to do with how it was done. It just.
Yeah,
I had my issues. I think Doomsday really was my biggest issue.
Yes,
and the Martha thing. I just can't get. Oh no, we have the same mothers. Ooh.
I know.
Hey, let's be besties now.
I know, but Deadpool already killed or
joked about that.
Yeah, in the perfect way.
Yeah, he did.
Is your mother's name Martha too?
Yeah, I like that. It's like, oh God, you're so dark. You must be from the DC universe.
Yeah. But yeah, there are definitely issues with that movie, but I watch it every couple of years. But yeah.
But that brings us up to the Justice League Zack Snyder cut. Now, why do you think fans wanted to see this so bad even before?
Because I think the information was out there to the fans that Zack had
issues.
I don't know. I don't think anybody knew about that at the time. But anyways, the fans knew that he shot all the scenes he wanted to do. He was in the editing room. He was in the cutting room, and they were like, "You have the material. Can we didn't like the other version. Can you just find a way to give me your version because you did the other two films, and it only makes sense for you to do the third one." But I think my point being is the fans knew the material was there, it was available, it was sitting on a shelf, and whoever studios, and they just requested it to get it edited and put out, and that's my guess.
Better to it,
because I was never on the internet doing the hashtag riding that wave or whatever. But
and to be honest, I didn't know that they were doing a Snyder cut until it was already being promoted. I had no idea that was a thing.
Oh, yeah, really? I've been hearing about it for a year.
I didn't even hear about this movement.
They've been talking about it for a year, and I've been like, fuck yeah.
But according to Zack Snyder, though, that this version, so it all contained him, his work. And then Joss Whedon comes in, right? And this is where it was it's basically him getting credit, Joss Whedon getting credit for Zack Snyder's film.
Right.
And that was where I think it's like kicking you in the nuts and telling you that you owe me money, when I should be paying you, kind of thing. I don't know. There's something about it where I think, according to Zack Snyder, it was a big shot. Like, no, this isn't his film. Like, this is my film.
Right.
And that's kind of what he was saying. Is like, this is my film. So I'm telling it my way.
You're saying Zack's Justice League, every bit of frame. Every scene is all Zack, but in Joss's, he used Zack's scenes to,
Yeah,
and then played off of them.
It was yeah. So it was Zack Snyder's. He shot everything.
Yeah.
He was the one who did all the work, basically, and then all Joss did was come in and he edited it. He told the story in the
differently.
In the way
in
that
a
he
less
wanted.
fleshed out way.
You can't do that, honestly. And it was the studio's doing. It had nothing to do with, Zack was like, hey, Josh, you want to step in and do this? No. It was the studio who came in and said, well, let's get Josh to come in. He just had 2 successful films, which were The Avengers.
Ultron, I believe.
And the first one, and Age of Ultron.
Okay.
And they were basically like, hey, he had 2 successful films, comic book and this and that. He knows what's up. He's a big nerd.
Of course, he'd be the next choice, for something like that.
But, it was basically just kind of a kick in the nuts, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So according to Zack Snyder as well, so his wife also, Deborah, is a executive producer of the film. So they work together. So they both had to leave.
Yep.
So once again, it had a lot to do. It was a family crisis. So 2 of the people who were working on this film who were a primary force of this film had to leave. And then they got the, Joss Whedon. But according to, the Snyders is that Victor, the cyborg, was supposed to be the heart of the film.
And he is. Yeah.
He is.
He is now.
You didn't get that at all in the original.
You didn't care about Victor at all.
And that was a huge thing that I can honestly say about this storyline compared to Joss Whedon's storyline, which, once again, we're not trying to do a comparison.
Yeah.
It's mainly just talking about this film. But
it's hard not to. But
there's going to be some comparisons. Yeah. We'll try to do a actual comparison when we rewatch the other film.
Right. But Victor.
But you see it in this film. He's basically the driving force of why everything needs to happen. It's not, like Batman's the one who brings everybody together and says, hey, this has to happen. But if it wasn't for Cyborg, none of this shit would happen because he was the only one that could get into those 3 boxes to begin with. And he's the only one that could hack him and deal with him.
And he does so much stuff like the Flash is dressed up in a military thing. They're trying to sneak into a base, and Cyborg's in the back of the truck hacking a computer to match Flash's identity card. So sneaking through the gate, small things like that, and I'm sure other things I can't remember. But he's a big part of the movie, and he does great.
And because if he wasn't created, if he wasn't there, they would not have had the conclusion that they would have had.
They wouldn't even have been able to bring back Superman? Or did Flash do that on his own?
No.
I think it was a team effort between...
He had the box.
Yeah.
So he had the mother box. So they wouldn't have been able to do that because Cyborg had the mother box.
Yeah.
That's very true as well. So, yeah. And in the original... In the other one, not the original, but I guess it is.
Yeah, I know. I mean...
in the other one...
I'm sure people know.
Yeah, you don't get that. You don't realize it.
No, it happened so fast and meaningless. And
he was also the one that had to overcome the fact that he had to regain his heart as well. If you want to look at it as a kind of a metaphor, he's a cyborg, so he's half human, half robot. And in this case, he has a resentment and anger towards his father for basically not being there. And it was something that he had previously before his accident, because during a football game, his father wasn't there. He was in the lab. His mother was there, but then his mother died, and he basically blamed his father for everything that went wrong. So when he became the cyborg, he thought he basically blamed his father for turning him into a monster.
Yeah, which was manufactured by his father. He became cyborg because of his father.
Yep. But it was the fact that his father couldn't lose his wife and his son. And since the wife was already dead and the son was soon to follow, he decided to do what he needed to do and try to save his son.
Yeah.
Selfish or not, you realize that there's more of it of a destined role, obviously, that comes into play that nobody knew. But
Right.
whatever it was, Cyborg had to find and had to rekindle the love that he had for his father.
Yep. And then pretty sure it didn't happen in the original. I'm just gonna keep calling that.
Yeah.
Right about the time he does rekindle that love for his father and understanding of why he did what he did, he watches his father die.
Yep.
By Steppenwolf and his father pretty much sacrificed
his father
himself.
sacrificed it just to make a message.
Yeah.
To help them. So
yeah,
the whole story was that the mother box, would they were able to discover that they could heat it up inside, and it would be one of the hottest things on the planet.
So it's a tracking device now.
Yeah, and basically it was a tracking, and exactly. So his father, at the last ditch effort to help his son and their team, and whatever, sacrificed himself.
I'm pretty sure that scene was not in the original. I don't remember.
I think he died.
Or they did it right, or they did it way different and went more emotional. Like I was like, oh my god, that would fucking suck.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, Cyborg's a big part. Rekindles with his father, and then he watches his father pass for a good cause. I don't know.
But
end of the world cause type stuff.
But in the end, he because he was listening to that recording.
Yeah.
Of his father trying to give him like the last. Nice.
Yeah, he listens to it twice. The first time he's mad and
he didn't
smashes
even finish it.
Yeah.
He didn't even finish it.
And
Right when he says like, now not talking as a scientist, I'm gonna talk as a father from the bottom of my heart, and he
he's
just
in the FU mode.
Yep.
So not to cut off your point. But.
So that's the other thing. It's just the FU point. Something else I thoroughly enjoyed was that you finally get some swearing.
Cool. I have that in my notes to ask you about how you felt about that.
I swear quite a bit, although I try not to, but I basically am a sailor.
I guess my question is, comic books, they seem like you should be able to enjoy them. You know, we're nerds and we like them at our older age, but like you should be able to bring like a 10-year-old and to enjoy these characters, but
it was rated R.
Exactly, and to be Zack Snyder's way of doing things, like I said, is never the pop culture common way to do things. So
yeah, he has
for
his
him
own original.
to bring the swearing to this makes sense, and I'm glad he did it.
So
and it was very subtle and
it was noticeable, but it wasn't
only noticeable because of the characters and like the world. It's so you never see it in these type of movies. You know?
And that's so. As soon as Deadpool came out, you finally got this. Oh, yeah, we have a very successful rated R film.
Absolutely, that would have been a flop if Deadpool didn't swear.
Absolutely,
but,
you cannot
so
censor.
We we needed that for it to be a good movie as Deadpool fans. But so I enjoyed the swearing. I was taken back and happy that it happened.
Yeah, no, I did, and I was saying, like,
it makes sense
since the Deadpool came out with that successful, and then they did Logan the same way.
Yeah.
Now it's an option. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't. They've been. The Watchmen was a DC, and that was rated R. Mm-hmm. It has nudity, it has sex, it has swearing, and all that. But you're dealing with on the other side of the spectrum, DC characters, and they're on their kind of own little universe. Although they are still whatever, they're on a separate universe kind of thing. Their own little thing. Mm-hmm. And then you deal with this, which is Superman and Batman and the Joker and Aquaman, all these big life characters who are these what you call Wonder Boys, these perfect
exactly
image.
Why it's like, oh, okay, and you're swearing now, cool.
Now I did admit, as much as like, oh, he swore, cool kind of thing, I was also like, but it's very noticeably forced in there, although it was appropriate reaction. But when Cyborg says, to Wonder Woman, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was one of those things where it was like, yeah, it was a proper reaction. It was properly said, but to me, it also felt like you didn't have to say it that way.
No, you definitely could have wrote that one better.
Yep.
The only one I really stuck with me, I don't think there's a lot of swearing, but at the end when Batman's talking to the Joker, he's like, "You realize one day I'm gonna fucking kill you," and that I liked.
Yes, because that was perfect.
Yeah, but I agree with the Cyborg and Wonder Woman.
The Cyborg one seemed a little
that
more
one was like, but it happens a lot. Like Man of Steel, I'm like, just give the dialogue a little more time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly.
That's one of those moments.
I 100% agree with you. The Batman scene with the Joker. By the way, let's talk about the Joker scene because
should we just skip to the? It's a fucking dream sequence. Spoiler alert, I guess. And
technically,
it's
an interpretation because what they're doing is they're lining up. Yes, they're lining up the idea of a different timeline with the Flashpoint kind of stuff, but they're also initiating that it is a premonition / dream sequence thing.
Yeah.
So they're leaving it to your interpretation, but it was fantastic.
Yep.
Now, why is everybody hating on it so much with the whole Joker scene?
Oh, they are?
I guess the internet's just like, oh, it's why it's terrible. Now,
yeah,
I'll put in my 2 cents, but I'm literally asking, why do you think that is?
I haven't looked in. I don't pay attention to the internet bulls, the angry internet folks.
I only do when it's relevant to.
What?
I only do when it's relevant to what I'm interested in.
No, it's a smart move. I'm not. Yeah.
I still don't agree with 90% of the world. But.
And I'm new to your podcast here, and if I have to, I'll start paying attention. But my only guess is that is because it was an add-on. I think it was shot after the fact. It wasn't original. They brought Jared Leto back with different makeup, and I don't know. I really in that scene, you get and then that Aquaman's girlfriend Mira. All of a sudden, she has like an accent or like an English accent and different hair that was not in the Aquaman movie.
It wasn't in the Aquaman movie.
I've heard some rumblings about that, and that's obvious. Like, what's going? Why are you talking completely different? And then
you're dealing with the water too, where they're underwater and they have to create this air bubble.
But yeah, that was cool.
But they don't. And to be honest, I think it was James Wan said in the Aquaman film, who's the one who directed that one, he said that, it's like, let's be real. Like, they're Atlanteans. They live in the water. We don't need to overthink this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, it wasn't a shot out at anybody. It was just basically saying, don't overthink it, man. They're Atlanteans. They live in the water.
Yeah. But, so how they introduced the Joker's character in that scene, I really enjoy because Mara is her name. She yelling at Batman or getting all hot and heavy, and then she says, "Hey, have you never loved anybody? You never lost anybody you loved or something like that?" And then you just hear in the background the Joker laughing like,
"Yep,
he loves me, and I know who he's lost." And like, I don't know, just the way it felt, how they segued into the Joker and into that conversation was. I don't know, smooth, clever, whatever the best word is for it. It felt poetic or something. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I could be overthinking this.
Well, you know me, man. I overthink quite a bit.
Hence why we talk.
I think a lot.
Yeah, but really. And then Batman and Joker do their thing, and I thought, besides that reach around joke, which technically I should have laughed at because I'm a cook, but I'm not on the clock, so I didn't. But yeah, other than that, that reach around joke, that was a little stretch, and like, you didn't need to do that.
I felt the same way about that exact joke. I'm like, that was kind of unnecessary.
But everything else, the entire, whatever you call it, their back and forth, their dialogue, thoroughly enjoyed. The makeup, all that shit, yeah. His vest with all the sheriff badges on it and stuff. Whew. That was nice.
Yeah, it was a good taste. It was a good touch to like show how ruthless and how badass the Joker is. The Joker is considered in the DC universe, or at least for Batman universe, is considered to be the most dangerous villain out there. One of the most dangerous, and basically, it's because of his reign. He's got high charisma, and he's psychotically brilliant. He's a genius when it comes to I don't know, just being psycho
and ruthless. Yeah.
And he's also he's a street gangster, thug, whatever you want to call it. He's a person of the street to survive so long like he has. Like you got to be fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm. So he's brilliant, street smarts, and
so
ruthless.
I thought that was a good touch too, just to show you how fucking brilliant, just how dangerous this fucking guy is. He has a bunch of them, and it's basically just it's a badge.
Yeah,
it's all, it literally like it's a badge.
Trophies and shit.
But yeah, it's a badge on him saying how many he's taken, how many lives.
And they
taken.
don't show it all, but you see enough to be like that thing is loaded. It's like a police bulletproof vest or something like that.
He's wearing Kevlar.
Yeah,
and he's got like 6 or 7 fucking
that we can see, and it just seems like it. There's more,
but
under the camera.
To put in my 2 cents about that scene, first of all, I waited that whole fucking film, just to see this one scene, because of the trailers. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when's the scene gonna happen? When's it gonna come? When? And
it kind of just drops on you.
It does. It's like I'm just waiting, and it's the last thing we get to see, and I'm like, almost the last thing I should say. It's second to last, but I was like, finally, it got there, and it did not disappoint. But what it did do is it upset me because I wanted more. I want to see more of that.
And since we're talking
timeline, that situation.
Yeah, if you don't, that's the only problem I have with this film. Is like the 4-hour thing is obviously doable, as we were all accustomed to binge watching Netflix shows, series, this and that. 4 hours is nothing. It breaks it down into 6 parts, so you can pause anytime you want. And then what do you know? It looks beautiful when you do. And so, but it sets up so much in this movie for like, ooh, I can't wait to see where this is gonna go in his future films in this universe. But now it's kind of like a show getting canceled. Yeah. And like My Name is Earl, like the final episode still has to be continued at the bottom, and it's just it breaks my heart. Like, and apparently, it came out that there's no more Snyder verse, I think is what they're calling it.
They're calling it, the Snyderverse.
So he sets up for future movies, and we're not going to get those future movies. Why I'm upset.
I've seen that it seems like there's not, but
we can always change that.
Still doesn't seem like it's finalized either.
But yeah,
you never know. I guess
the people with the money have put out a press release stating, "Don't get your hopes up." Basically,
I mean,
but there's a chance, with that knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like, and with all these setups, I'm just like, that's the only part that like frustrates me about this movie. Yeah, and because I was excited to just, I don't know.
Well, from my understanding, it's one of those where it was kind of a flop for doing something so drastic like it did. It wasn't almost like it was a big hit to fans, but financially it was a bit of a flop.
The release on HBOMAX?
Yeah, like the whole release, the amount of money, like, to do something of that nature for a director's cut kind of thing and whatnot. It was kind of a big flop and a big disappointment to the wands of power. But that's the issue, is you have fans who care about this, and then you have people who want the money, like who put in the money and investment. And I'm like,
and I think HBO...
It's a battle. It's always been a battle.
It seems like, I don't pay enough attention. I just hear shit a little bit, but I never like look into it. But it seems like HBO knew they were going to lose money on it, but the people wanted it. So the best thing they could gain from putting it out is they get more subscribers. And that did happen. Like,
absolutely.
It fucking went from like 50 million to 100 million just for, I don't know the numbers, but it like
overnight.
and I feel like last year they were like, if we get to this number, we'll guarantee it comes out. I'm not sure if that's true, if they held it over the heads like that, but
I just feel like it needs to happen. As simple as that.
That's all I'm saying. And I hope we can get our hopes up for more of his story and his setups, because they were really good.
But I will honestly say I was very satisfied as well with what he put out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's like, I love the movie, and my only gripe about it is that he's not going to get to, finish his little teasers that he threw in this movie for us. Like, we'll answer this in the next film, or, something like that.
Like you said, you never know.
Never know.
You never know. The fates twine could intertwine with somebody else, and they'll be like, yeah, let's fucking do this, kind of thing. You never know.
You never know. And to give an example of these teasers, Lois Lane's pregnancy test in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
and at the end of the movie, when they're moving back into Clark Kent's farm, Bruce Wayne, I bought the bank, blah blah blah, and then they the camera fades and they're walking towards the house, and then you hear, before the audio drops out, Batman just tells Superman, oh, by the way, congratulations. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like, oh, congrats on getting your house back, or it seems like a congrats on getting engaged or having a kid or something like that. It could be filling in the gaps, but that's the setup that we're not going to get answers to.
So, yeah, getting away from those particulars, because unfortunately I'm right there with you as those setups. What would you say, though, if you had to choose at least one of those little questions, those little setups, would you want to see the most of? Like, if there was a chance, an opportunity for these answers to be revealed in some way or be shown, what would you choose?
Yeah.
Because mine would be that whole other timeline.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's mine. I want to see.
I definitely don't care about Superman's son and all that stuff. I guess we have Lois and Lane on CW. We can get to that. But I know Deathstroke. Yeah, that whole other timeline, really, that's the main one. Like,
by the way, Deathstroke being appeared was fantastic too. I was so happy to see that, and I think that Joe, was it Manganiello? Is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
The guy from Magic Mike.
Oh, really?
I thought he was. I liked it. I liked it so much. I liked his look, and I think he would. I think he would be a badass.
He was the best looking Deathstroke on screen. Yet.
The only other one I liked Emmanuel Bennett as well, who was in Arrow.
Oh,
I liked him as Deathstroke.
Yeah, that's true. I forget. I wasn't considering CW.
Either way, I was so looking forward to seeing Deathstroke, and then seeing him, and I was not disappointed.
Yeah, my answer was going to be something about Deathstroke and him and Lex Luthor. They talk, and he's like, "Oh, Bruce Wayne."
They start the Injustice League.
Is that what? Yeah. And then all of a sudden after that, it goes into the premonition scene, or so it kind of. So, but yeah, the Deathstroke, but yeah, that timeline, I would have to agree with you.
Now, here's another idea that I've been thinking of. They might be able to answer some of these questions within the other films that they're making, because they're doing a Flash film. And I don't remember the other films. They're doing another Suicide Squad, but that's...
Yeah.
I don't know what that would entail.
You see that trailer yet?
I haven't watched it yet. I actually kind of forgot about it until just now. But they're doing a Flash movie. I don't know. I don't think they're doing a Cyborg movie, are they? I thought they were supposed to.
No. I mean, they were talking about it was kind of a thing, but they dropped it, and especially with this guy, the actor, doing what he did, angry at Joss, and other layers to it that I don't know if I know much about it to talk about it.
Yeah, he's basically been
so that idea has been shut down. Yes.
Yeah, from ever
So good point. They could eventually get to this, but they better. I mean, I hope nobody better do anything. But I hope they consult Zack Snyder and be like, what was your vision, or where did you think you were going? Because I don't want him to get kicked in the nuts anymore.
Right? He's already dealt with enough.
And I would hate for anyone else to take his setups and then not do it
justice
the way yes.
I agree.
Yeah, it's my overthinking of it.
Hey everybody, this is Timothy Bennett here. Stay tuned next week for part 2 of the Justice League Zack Snyder's Director's Cut.